Welcome back, everyone. Despite the heartbreaking loss in Game 2, the Lakers were actually able to do a lot of things right, and if not for some failed second half game planning, they would very likely be heading back to LA tied 1-1. Now, nothing is ever guaranteed when talking about hypotheticals, but there's really not that much they did wrong in this game. The only problem is that the few mistakes that they did make really cost them. And with that in mind, what can they do to correct them in Game 2? Or even before that, who needs to be held accountable for them? And then, can those individuals do better in Game 3? We'll talk about all of that during today's video. But before we get too far into it, if you are looking for a place to talk about the NBA playoffs, or even vent about the Lakers during the playoffs, then don't forget to check out our NBA Discord. We have a live game chat, a daily discussion board, and pretty much everything sports related. Or if you don't have Discord, then feel free to follow me on Twitter to hear my thoughts on everything NBA and Lakers related. There will be a link for both of them in the video description down below. But without further ado, let's dive right into it. And we'll begin by talking about the rotation in Game 2, which I've seen two primary things being talked about here. One of which being the fact that nobody played over 40 minutes in a borderline must-win game for them, and then simply about the amount of playing time that a few of their role players got. And beginning with the 40-minute thing, I'm actually not too mad about it. I know a lot of people have pointed out that LeBron and Anthony Davis need to play more than that, but if you actually watch them, then you'll know that LeBron directly asked to be taken out of the game due to being tired, and then that Anthony Davis had to leave due to foul trouble in the late third quarter. And I mean, there's really nothing Darvin could do about that. You're not going to keep a 39-year-old on the court that is completely gassed, and then you definitely don't want Anthony Davis picking up a fifth foul before the fourth quarter. Don't get me wrong, I would certainly love for them to have both been able to play over 40 minutes, but it simply was not an option. With how hard LeBron was playing on defense, he legitimately needed a few breaks. And then again, there's nothing you can do about Anthony Davis getting in foul trouble. However, I do think they can learn from that going forward. I love the defense that Anthony Davis played on Jokic during the first half, but he eventually wore AD down and got him into foul trouble, which will likely happen every time if they keep him out there for that amount of minutes, and especially if he's defending Jokic one-on-one for a majority of them. I know they definitely is their best option to defend Jokic with, but you cannot expect him to do it for that long. And luckily for them, they will have another option for it in Game 3, with that being Christian Wood. And while they obviously cannot rely on him to defend Jokic one-on-one, they can hope for him to do a better job than Rui Hachimura did, and then of course have Anthony Davis playing help defense around him. In my opinion, that is the only way you can hope for Anthony Davis to play 40 or more minutes, because whether it be from foul trouble or simply getting worn down, it would not be realistic to expect him to play that amount while defending Jokic. And then for LeBron, I will happily take him playing only 38 minutes if it means the kind of defense they played in Game 2. I mean, I've not seen him work that hard on defense since probably last year in the playoffs, and whenever they get that kind of defensive effort from him, it truly elevates their entire team. And with that in mind, I don't think that you can nor should blame Darvin for not playing them more in Game 2. Though I do think you have an argument if you're talking about the amount of playing time that a few of the other guys got, with the obvious one here being Rui Hachimura. It's kind of funny that Darvin had trouble finding playing time for Hachimura back when he was playing well, but now he's playing in more ways not playing well. And while I'm really hoping for Hachimura to have a good Game 3, he should probably not be playing over 35 minutes, and especially if he plays like he did in Game 2. After all, keeping him on the court actually helped the Nuggets. If you paid attention during the second half, Mike Malone made the adjustment to put Nikola Jokic on Hachimura, and then Aaron Gordon and Anthony Davis. And what that did was prevent Anthony Davis being able to target Jokic on defense, which he did very well at during the first half. And while Rui Hachimura did literally nothing to make them pay for that, he was pretty timid offensively, and then even when he did take a few shots, whether they were at the three-point line or directly at the rim, he was only able to make a single one of them. In my opinion, they would have been much better off with Taurean Prince in there during the second half. Unlike Hachimura, he has been a very tough cover for Denver, knocking down 3 3-point shots, along with having 17 points through only 2 games, which is literally the entirety of their bench points, by the way. Definitely not good. And not only that, but putting Prince out there prevent Denver from making that switch. I mean, do they really want Jokic trying to keep up with Taurean Prince along the 3-point line? And if they don't want that, their only other option would be LeBron James or a quicker guard. Probably not something they want to do. And that to me is where you could fault Darvin the most here at the rotation in Game 2. You definitely could make a smaller argument about a few other guys, but the main one here is with Rui Hachimura, who unfortunately played into the Denver Nuggets' favor in Game 2. But the even bigger problem here is their fourth quarter play calling, or rather lack thereof. And while it's really difficult to blame one person alone here, Darvin definitely does share part of the blame. Now, you might be questioning why he does not get all of the blame, but in reality, you know that LeBron takes over during the fourth quarter, which does in fact include the way they run their offense, with some people even going as far to call him their real coach during the fourth quarter. Now, I'm not sure I go that far, but the lack of plays they run during the fourth quarter is definitely in part from him. Now, I'm not faulting him for it, as he obviously played pretty damn well during the fourth quarter in Game 2, but he did play a big part in the freelancing that they did. I get that they're trying to target matchups, which is completely fine, but you should never go completely away from your playbook, and I think by now they should have learned that when playing Denver. They are simply too well coached and too smart for that kind of style to work, and LeBron talked about what happened to their offense after Game 2.
LeBron, in the third quarter, when they start to kind of slowly get back in the game, where did you see the offense start to really sputter for you guys? I think only 40 points in the second half, and it felt like you guys were attacking the basket, not finishing, maybe a little bit around.
Yeah, we missed shots. We got to score versus team. We missed shots. We still got great looks. We just missed them, and they made.
Again, I think they can work harder to prevent that from happening. It's a little bit more than simply not making shots to them. It's about going away from what worked for them up until that point. And until they figure that out, I'm not sure they will be able to maintain their leads. But for the final problem we'll talk about from Game 2, I think we gotta touch on the timeout usage. And here's where you could definitively call out Darvin Ham. They once again ended the game with 2 timeouts. And not only that, but they failed to use their challenge play too. And when a controversial call like the one that LeBron got called for by fouling Jamal Murray happens, that would be a pretty damn good time to use it. I mean, who knows if they overturn it with the way they're calling this game, but that's literally the moment you save a challenge for. And yet, Darvin Ham failed to do anything about it. Again, plenty of problems leading up to that point that could have prevented that, but it's another head-scratching move from him during a late-game moment, and that is something you could actually blame him for. With that in mind though, what can they do to be better in Game 3? Well, for one, they simply gotta stick to their offensive game plan, or at the very least stop trying to isolate when the Nuggets make an adjustment to prevent that game plan. There are better ways of going about it than by doing that. Another thing they gotta do is be more aware of who's benefiting them on the court. In Game 1, they left D'Angelo Russell on the court for far too long during a bad game, and then in Game 2, they left Rui Hachimura on the court for far too long during a bad game as well, and that directly played into the Nuggets' favor. And overall, it felt like they've let Denver dictate the second half of both games, allowing them to create favorable matchups and not really doing anything about it. And in my opinion, they have to be more aware of that in regard to their rotation, what kind of offense they're running, and who they're attacking on defense. But with all of that being said, what do you guys think? What things stood out to you about what went wrong for them in Game 2? And how do you think they should correct them for Game 3? Comment your thoughts down below. That will do it for this video though. Big thank you to those of you who took the time to watch until the end of this video, and until the end of all of my videos in general. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and hit that notification bell to never miss out when I upload a video. But as always, thank you for watching and have a great day.